15. Male heartthrobs of the 90s. Shocking transformations you won't recognize in 2025. Stop scrolling, because what you're about to see will blow your mind. The 1990s were ruled by these 15 men posters on every wall, faces on every magazine, the ultimate teenage dreams. But here's the twist: by 2025, you wouldn't even recognize them. Some became professors, some walked away to raise families, others swapped movie sets for spiritual retreats or small-town workshops. These heartthrobs didn't just age, they transformed. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into the shocking, unbelievable reinventions of Hollywood's golden boys. And before we begin, hit that subscribe button for more stories that rewrite fame itself. Brian Austin Green. Once the charming DJ David Silver on Beverly Hills 90210, Brian Austin Green was the soundtrack to teenage dreams across the early 1990s. With his easy smile and boy-next-door charisma, he ruled television screens and magazine covers. Yet the man audiences remember as a carefree teen idol has transformed into something far deeper. By 2025, a grounded father, partner, and advocate who has redefined what it means to grow beyond fame. After the original show ended, Green explored music-independent films and television, but gradually stepped away from the blinding spotlight. Now, in his early 50s, he has embraced a more authentic rhythm of life. The father of 5'3" with ex-wife Megan Fox and 2 with his fiancée Sharna Burgess, often describes fatherhood as his most fulfilling role. His days are filled less with premieres and more with school runs, family outings, and genuine connection. Green's transformation has also been shaped by personal trials. In early 2025, he underwent emergency surgery for a perforated appendix, a stark reminder of his own mortality. That experience, coupled with past struggles with anxiety and the pressure of early fame, led him to focus intensely on health and self-awareness. He speaks openly about the importance of mental well-being, mentoring young performers, and encouraging them to seek balance before the industry consumes them. Far from disappearing, Brian Austin Green has reinvented himself. He co-hosts lifestyle and parenting podcasts, appears at nostalgic fan conventions, and supports charitable causes focused on children's mental health. The boyish DJ from West Beverly High has matured into a reflective man who values purpose over publicity. In 2025, his story stands as one of the most surprising and inspiring transformations among the 90s, heartthrobs, proof that true evolution happens not under the stage lights, but in the quiet strength of everyday life. Rick Moranis. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Rick Moranis was one of Hollywood's most beloved faces, a comedic genius whose warmth and wit lit up classics like Ghostbusters' Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Spaceballs. With his soft-spoken charm and endearing awkwardness, he became a symbol of family-friendly entertainment. But at the height of his fame, when sequels, million-dollar contracts, and fame seemed endless, Moranis made a decision that stunned Hollywood. He walked away completely. In 1991, tragedy struck when his wife, costume designer Ann Belsky, passed away from cancer. Suddenly, raising his 2 young children became his top priority. Moranis quietly stepped back from acting, refusing high-profile projects and choosing instead to be a full-time father. He continued to do occasional voice work from home but avoided cameras altogether. For nearly 2 decades, he disappeared from the public eye, living a peaceful life in New York City. His withdrawal wasn't born of scandal or failure, it was an act of love and conviction. By 2025, Rick Moranis, now in his early 70s, remains a rare figure in Hollywood, a man who achieved everything yet chose family over fame. Though he briefly returned in a 2020 commercial with Ryan Reynolds and agreed to appear in Disney's upcoming Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reboot. He did so on his terms, limited schedule, family-first conditions, and no fanfare. His reemergence reminded audiences not of what he lost, but what he preserved: integrity, humility, and perspective. Today, Moranis stands as a quiet legend. He may no longer headline blockbusters, but his story resonates more deeply than ever. In an era of constant self-promotion, his decision to vanish from fame remains both radical and inspiring. Rick Moranis didn't fade away, he evolved, proving that sometimes the greatest act of courage is stepping out of the spotlight to live life on your own terms. Michael Schufling. In the mid-1980s, Michael Schufling was every teen's dream. His role as Jake Ryan in 16 Candles turned him into an instant heartthrob, the quiet, confident senior with a red Porsche who made audiences everywhere swoon. With only a handful of films to his name, including Vision Quest and Mermaids, Schufling's smoldering looks and soft-spoken presence made him one of the most recognizable young men of his generation. But at the height of his rising fame, he did something few could understand. He vanished from Hollywood altogether. By the early 1990s, the film offers had slowed, and Schufling, now married and raising a family, decided to choose stability over celebrity. He returned to his home state of Pennsylvania, where he founded a small custom furniture business called Wood River Woodworks. In that quiet workshop surrounded by sawdust and the sound of chisels, the former movie idol found something he never had in Los Angeles: peace. He began crafting tables, chairs, and cabinets by hand, preferring the satisfaction of tangible work to the fleeting applause of fame. Now in 2025, Michael Schufling is 64 years old and still living privately in rural Pennsylvania. He's kept himself completely out of the public eye, no interviews, no social media, no red carpets. Only occasional glimpses from his daughter model Scarlett Schufling show a bearded, rugged craftsman who looks worlds apart from Jake Ryan. Yet that's exactly how he prefers it. The man who once defined romantic perfection now builds his life quite literally piece by piece in the quiet rhythm of the workshop. His story remains one of Hollywood's most graceful exits, a reminder that fame isn't the ultimate goal for everyone. Michael Schufling's transformation from 80s heartthrob to artisan is not one of disappearance, but of deliberate reinvention. He didn't lose himself when he left Hollywood. He found himself in the simple beauty of creating something real, enduring, and entirely his own. Josh Saviano. In the early 1990s, Josh Saviano was one of television's most familiar faces. As Paul Pfeiffer, the bespectacled, brainy best friend on The Wonder Years, he embodied the awkward charm of growing up in suburban America. Viewers watched him navigate adolescence beside Fred Savage's Kevin Arnold, and for many, Paul felt almost like a real friend. Yet when the beloved series ended in 1993, Saviano quietly stepped away from acting, beginning one of the most surprising transformations among the heartthrobs of his generation. After the cameras stopped rolling, Saviano pursued higher education with the same diligence his character once applied to homework. He enrolled at Yale University, earning a degree in political science before completing his Juris Doctor at Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. By his late 20s, he was no longer a Hollywood star. He was a licensed attorney in New York City. His decision wasn't an escape from fame, but a conscious shift towards something more meaningful. He later founded a consulting firm that helps former child actors and creatives transition into sustainable careers beyond entertainment, bridging his two worlds with insight and empathy. Now, in 2025, Josh Saviano is 49 years old and continues to practice law while leading charitable and educational initiatives. He often speaks at media and legal conferences, sharing lessons from his unique path from sitcom prodigy to respected professional. His advocacy work focuses on financial literacy, contract awareness, and mental health guidance for young performers entering an industry that rarely teaches them how to survive outside the spotlight. Saviano's journey is a rare kind of Hollywood success story, one defined not by fame, but by purpose. His transformation from a child star into a trusted legal mind proves that growing up on television doesn't have to lead to a tragic ending. Instead, it can inspire a new kind of heroism, quiet, intelligent, and rooted in helping others find balance long after the credits roll. Jeff Cohen. In the mid-1980s, Jeff Cohen captured hearts around the world as the lovable, clumsy chunk in The Goonies, his truffle shuffle dance becoming one of cinema's most unforgettable moments. Yet few could have predicted that the boy who brought laughter to millions would later trade Hollywood sets for legal boardrooms. Cohen's transformation from child actor to one of the most respected entertainment lawyers in the business is not just surprising, it's inspiring. After The Goonies wrapped, Cohen continued acting briefly, but as he grew older, roles became scarce. Rather than chase fame, he turned inward and decided to pursue education and law. He attended the University of California, Berkeley, where he earned a degree in business and later obtained his Juris Doctor from UCLA School of Law. Armed with a sharp intellect and first-hand understanding of the entertainment industry, Cohen built a reputation for fairness and integrity qualities that made him invaluable to actors navigating Hollywood's complex legal landscape. Today, in 2025, Jeff Cohen is 51 years old and a founding partner at the Los Angeles-based firm Cohen & Gardner LLP. He represents high-profile clients in film, television, and digital media, often negotiating multi-million-dollar deals behind the scenes. His colleagues describe him as a fierce advocate for talent, a man who ensures that performers, especially young ones, are treated with dignity and transparency. In a poetic twist, Cohen even helped his former Goonies co-star Ke Huy Quan negotiate the deal that led to Quan's Oscar-winning comeback in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Cohen's story is a remarkable example of reinvention done right. He may no longer appear on screen, but his influence on Hollywood is greater than ever, protecting others from the very pitfalls he once experienced. The boy who searched for pirate treasure in the 1980s grew up to become the guardian of modern stars' futures. Jeff Cohen's transformation proves that true success isn't about staying famous. It's about using your past to empower the next generation. Skeet Ulrich. In the 1990s, Skeet Ulrich was the embodiment of the mysterious bad boy, sharp-jawed, brooding, and irresistibly magnetic. With breakout performances in Scream 1996 and The Craft 1996, he became the dark counterpoint to the decade's clean-cut Heartthrobs. Fans adored his quiet intensity and rebellious charm, earning him the title of the next Johnny Depp. Yet as the 2000s unfolded, Ulrich began stepping away from the high-gloss fame that had defined his early career, seeking a life that was far more grounded and personal. Born in Lynchburg, Virginia in 1970, Ulrich grew up with a love for creativity and craftsmanship. After years of constant filming and press tours, he decided to shift his focus toward family and the kind of work that fulfilled him, not just his public image. He started taking selective roles in independent films and smaller television projects, preferring meaningful stories over blockbuster paychecks. His performances in Jericho and later Riverdale reminded fans of his remarkable range, yet he always managed to keep Hollywood at arm's length. By 2025, Skeet Ulrich is 55 years old and living a life that mirrors the characters he once portrayed, rugged, introspective, and quietly strong. Away from the camera, he devotes time to restoring classic cars, a passion that combines patience, precision, and artistry. Friends describe him as calm and deliberate, more interested in authenticity than attention. Occasionally, he appears at fan conventions or joins a limited-run series, but only on his own schedule. He's also a dedicated father, often crediting his children as the reason he stepped back from the relentless pace of fame. Ulrich's transformation is one of quiet resilience. Once a poster boy for teenage rebellion, he has become a man defined by balance, craft, and simplicity. His weathered good looks now reflect experience rather than angst, the kind of strength that comes from choosing peace over pressure. In a world obsessed with visibility, Skeet Ulrich reminds us that stepping out of the spotlight isn't retreat, it's renewal. Frankie Muniz. In the early 2000s, Frankie Muniz was the face of a generation. As the quick-witted prodigy and Malcolm in the Middle, he captured hearts with a mix of humor and sincerity that made him one of television's brightest young stars. By age 15, he had earned Emmy and Golden Globe nominations, starred in major films like Agent Cody Banks and Big Fat Liar, and become one of Hollywood's highest-paid child actors. But as fame intensified, Muniz began to feel the weight of his success, and in a move that shocked fans, he walked away from acting altogether. By his early 20s, Muniz turned the wheel literally toward a new passion: professional auto racing. He competed in the Formula BMW USA Series and later in the Atlantic Championship, proving his dedication on the track wasn't a celebrity stunt, but a genuine pursuit of adrenaline and discipline. Though he suffered several concussions and temporary memory loss issues, Muniz refused to slow down. He later toured as a drummer for the indie rock band Kingsfoil, showing once again that reinvention was part of his DNA. Now, in 2025, Frankie Muniz is 39 years old and thriving as both a racer and a family man. He competes in stock car events such as the Arca Menards series and runs his own olive oil business in Arizona with his wife, Paige Price. He often shares glimpses of fatherhood with their young son, Maus, and speaks candidly about his health ambition and the joy of living life on his own terms. The boy who once ruled network television has found fulfillment in the roar of engines and the quiet moments of home life alike. Muniz's evolution is one of courage and clarity. He proved that success doesn't have to mean staying in the same lane forever. It can mean changing tracks completely. Once a genius kid on screen, now a grounded man fueled by passion and purpose. Frankie Muniz's transformation reminds us that true happiness often begins where fame ends. Ross Malinger. In the early 1990s, Ross Malinger was one of Hollywood's most recognizable child actors. With his wide-eyed innocence and heartfelt performance as Jonah Baldwin, Tom Hanks's son, in Sleepless in Seattle 1993, he instantly became a household name. At just 8 years old, Malinger's emotional depth helped define one of the most beloved romantic comedies of all time. He continued to act through the decade, appearing in films like Sudden Death and TV shows such as Good Advice and Nick Frenno, Licensed Teacher. But as the spotlight grew brighter, Ross began to drift away from it, craving normalcy over notoriety. By the early 2000s, Malinger made the conscious decision to step away from acting altogether. Rather than chasing the unpredictable rhythm of Hollywood, he pursued a life grounded in business and stability. He transitioned into the corporate world, working in sales and business development, a career that traded scripts for strategy meetings. Over time, he carved out a respected reputation within the automotive and digital marketing industries, where he specialized in dealership growth and customer relations. For someone who had once lived under the glare of cameras, the anonymity of the boardroom offered a refreshing kind of peace. As of 2025, Ross Malinger is 41 years old and continues to thrive outside of the entertainment world. He lives a quiet life, rarely giving interviews or appearing at public events. Those who've worked with him describe him as professional, insightful, and content, a man who values privacy over publicity. Though fans occasionally recognize him at trade shows or conferences, he's no longer Jonah from Sleepless in Seattle, but a dedicated businessman who built his own version of success. Malinger's transformation may be one of the most understated yet admirable of all the 90s heartthrobs. While many chased the fleeting promises of stardom, he chose something lasting: stability, authenticity, and peace. His journey reminds us that sometimes the most remarkable reinvention is the quietest one. Michael C. Morona. In the 1990s, Michael C. Morona was the quintessential cool older brother. As Big Pete Wrigley on Nickelodeon's The Adventures of Pete and Jeff McAllister in Home Alone, he embodied the mix of humor, heart, and subtle rebellion that made 90s kids fall in love with him. His quirky wit and relatable charm made him a cult favorite, yet unlike many of his peers, Morona never seemed driven by fame. Even as his star rose, he maintained a grounded presence, a sign of the transformation that was to come. After the peak of his acting years, Morona made a fascinating pivot. Instead of chasing more on-screen roles, he dove into the technical side of filmmaking, becoming an electrician and rigging specialist for major television and streaming productions. Over the years, he's worked behind the camera on some of the most visually stunning shows of the modern era. His expertise in lighting and rigging has earned him industry respect, though he prefers the quiet recognition of crew life to the flash of celebrity. In 2025, Michael C. Morona is 48 years old and continues to thrive in this behind-the-scenes career. He co-hosts a popular nostalgia podcast with his Pete and Pete co-star Danny Tamborelli, where the two reminisce about their Nickelodeon days and discuss life after child stardom. The show has gained a loyal following not just for its humor, but for its honesty about growing up in the entertainment world and finding joy in simpler things. Morona's story stands out because it's not one of disappearance, but of transformation through perspective. He didn't reject Hollywood, he redefined his place in it. From childhood star to skilled craftsman, from front-of-camera fame to backstage artistry, Michael C. Morona proves that true success isn't about staying in the spotlight, it's about finding the light that guides you even when no one's watching. Freddie Prinze Jr. In the late 1990s, Freddie Prinze Jr. was the face of every teen romance. With his easy charm and soulful gaze, he became the ultimate leading man in films like She's All That I Know What You Did, Last Summer, and Down to You. He ruled an era when romantic comedies dominated the box office, and his name alone guaranteed swooning fans and packed theaters. But behind the glamour, Freddie was quietly realizing that the Hollywood lifestyle wasn't what he truly wanted. By the early 2000s, the heartthrob who once defined young love was ready to trade scripts for something more meaningful: family creativity and peace. When his father, comedian Freddie Prinze Sr., passed away tragically before he was born, Prinze Jr. grew up with a profound awareness of the darker side of fame. That perspective shaped the choices he made later. After marrying actress Sarah Michelle Gellar in 2002, he shifted his priorities, entirely focusing on being a devoted husband and father to their two children. Acting took a back seat to parenthood. He stepped out of the spotlight, taking only projects that fit around his family schedule. Over the next decade, Freddie Prinze Jr. reinvented himself several times. A passionate foodie, he published a best-selling cookbook that celebrated his Puerto Rican heritage and love for home-cooked meals. A lifelong wrestling fan, he joined the creative team at WWE, writing storylines for Friday Night SmackDown, and later hosting his own popular podcast, Wrestling with Freddie. He also lent his voice to major animated series, including Star Wars Rebels, where he portrayed the Jedi Kanan Jarrus, a role that earned him a new generation of fans. By 2025, at 49 years old, Freddie Prinze Jr. is content, confident, and still every bit as charismatic, just in a quieter, more grounded way. He's not chasing red carpets or leading man fame. He's building creative projects that reflect his passions. His transformation from Hollywood heartthrob to devoted father, writer, and voice actor isn't a retreat. It's evolution. Freddie Prinze Jr. didn't just grow older. He grew wiser, proving that sometimes the most powerful comeback is the one that happens on your own terms. Andrew Keegan. In the late 1990s, Andrew Keegan was one of the most recognizable faces on television. With roles in 10 Things I Hate About You, Seventh Heaven, and Party of Five. He embodied the confident, charming bad boy who could steal a scene and a million hearts with a single smirk. At just 20, his face was everywhere. Teen magazines, movie posters, talk shows. Yet when the 2000s rolled in, Keegan began a surprising journey that would take him far from the red carpets of Hollywood and into a world of spiritual self-discovery. By 2014, Keegan had founded a spiritual community in Venice Beach called Full Circle, where he hosted meditation sessions, mindfulness workshops, and cacao ceremonies. The media, hungry for a headline, labeled it a cult, a claim Keegan firmly rejected. He explained that Full Circle was never about worship or control, it was about community healing and connection. Though the group disbanded in 2017 when the lease expired, it marked a turning point in his life. Keegan had traded Hollywood fame for a quieter, more introspective existence dedicated to personal growth and helping others find balance. Now in 2025, at 46 years old, Andrew Keegan lives in Southern California with his family and continues to explore spirituality through small workshops and environmental advocacy. He occasionally appears at fan conventions or in indie projects, but acting is no longer his defining pursuit. He's a father, a teacher, and a seeker, someone who has learned to find fulfillment not in fame, but in presence and peace. Keegan's transformation from teen idol to spiritual guide is one of the most striking of his generation. He didn't fade away. He evolved. His journey shows that sometimes the most shocking change isn't a fall from grace, but a rise towards self-understanding. The once rebellious heartthrob has become a symbol of reinvention, proof that true success comes not from staying adored, but from living authentically. Danny Tamborelli. In the 1990s, Danny Tamborelli was one of Nickelodeon's most recognizable stars. As Little Pete in The Adventures of Pete and Pete, he captured the wild, imaginative spirit of a generation. His mischievous grin, fiery red hair, and offbeat humor made him a fan favorite, and his appearances on shows like All That and Figure It Out cemented his place as a 90s kid icon. But when Nickelodeon's golden era ended, Tamborelli, unlike many of his peers, didn't chase after more fame. Instead, he forged a creative path that would let him stay true to himself. After leaving acting, Tamborelli threw himself into music comedy and storytelling. He became the bassist and vocalist for the indie rock band Jounce, which toured steadily through the 2000s, blending alternative rock with a nostalgic, youthful edge. His love for music, he's often said, came from jamming with punk legend Iggy Pop during the filming of Pete and Pete, an experience that shaped his creative life. Beyond the stage, Tamborelli found his comedic voice through improv and sketch performances in New York, carving out a loyal following that loved his mix of humor and sincerity. By 2025, at 43 years old, Danny Tamborelli is still thriving in his unique creative lane. He co-hosts a nostalgia-filled podcast, The Adventures of Danny and Mike, alongside his on-screen brother, Michael C. Morona. The show dives into stories from their Nickelodeon days' life lessons and the weird, wonderful journey of growing up in the spotlight. Tamborelli is also an author, co-writing The First Time for Everything, a semi-autobiographical novel about friendship, love, and adolescence, which resonated deeply with millennial audiences. Tamborelli's transformation is a joyful one, a reminder that you can grow up without losing your spark. He may no longer be the mischievous kid from Wellsville, but his creativity and humor are as alive as ever. By blending nostalgia, music, and authenticity, Danny Tamborelli has turned childhood fame into a lifelong artistic adventure, and fans wouldn't have it any other way. Charlie Korsmo. In the early 1990s, Charlie Korsmo was one of Hollywood's most talented young actors. With roles in Hook, Dick, Tracy, and What About Bob, he balanced intelligence and innocence in a way few child stars could. As Jack Banning, the son of Robin Williams' Peter Pan in Hook 1991, Korsmo's emotional performance made audiences laugh, cry, and believe in magic again. But just as his career was gaining momentum, he did something extraordinary. He walked away from acting entirely. Unlike many who fade from the spotlight, Korsmo left Hollywood with purpose. Determined to focus on academics, he attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, where he earned a degree in physics, a path that could not have been more different from the one he had left behind. Later, he graduated from Yale Law School, turning his analytical mind toward law and policy. In the years that followed, Korsmo worked in government and finance before finding his true calling in education. His story became a blueprint for what life after fame could look like: grounded, thoughtful, and deeply accomplished. Now, in 2025, Charlie Korsmo is 47 years old and a respected law professor at Case Western Reserve University in Ohio. His academic work focuses on corporate law, finance, and governance, and he has published numerous research papers in leading journals. Students who discover his past as a child actor are often astonished, but Korsmo approaches it with humility and humor. He still keeps in touch with former collaborators, even exchanging Christmas cards with Steven Spielberg, a testament to the grace with which he transitioned from Hollywood to higher education. Korsmo's transformation is one of the most remarkable of any 90s heartthrob. He didn't crash under fame's pressure or chase lost stardom. He evolved into a scholar shaping future generations. The boy who once sailed through Neverland now lectures in classrooms teaching lessons that reach far beyond the screen. Charlie Korsmo proves that brilliance doesn't fade, it just finds a new stage. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. In the 1990s, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, affectionately known as JTT, was the ultimate teen idol. As Randy Taylor on Home Improvement, and the voice of young Simba in Disney's The Lion King 1994, he became one of the most recognizable faces and voices in America. His boyish smile, intelligence, and quick wit made him a regular on magazine covers and talk shows. Yet at the peak of his fame, while millions of fans were buying posters with his face on them, JTT made a move that stunned Hollywood. He walked away. In 1998, at just 17 years old, Thomas left Home Improvement before its final season to focus on his education. Tired of living under constant public scrutiny, he sought intellectual challenge over celebrity. He studied philosophy and history at Harvard University, spent time at St. Andrews in Scotland, and later graduated from Columbia University. Rather than using his fame to chase more roles, he chose anonymity, the chance to grow and live life as Jonathan, not JTT. It was a bold, introspective choice rarely seen among young stars of his era. In the years that followed, Thomas stayed largely out of the public eye, only reappearing briefly for small directing projects and a few cameos alongside his Home Improvement co-star Tim Allen in Last Man Standing. Away from Hollywood, he reportedly explored writing, directing, and activism, while continuing to value privacy above all else. Unlike many who left fame and tried to return, he stayed true to his quiet path. No tabloids, no scandals, no social media. Now, in 2025, at 44 years old, Jonathan Taylor Thomas remains one of the most mysterious and respected former heartthrobs of the 90s. He is rumored to serve on industry boards and occasionally guest lecture on media and identity. His transformation from global teen sensation to thoughtful private intellectual is both rare and admirable. JTT's story proves that walking away from fame isn't a fall, it can be an ascent into something far more meaningful: peace, purpose, and authenticity. Macaulay Culkin. In the early 1990s, Macaulay Culkin was not just a movie star, he was a cultural phenomenon, as Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 1990 and Home Alone 2. Lost in New York 1992. He became the most famous child actor on Earth, commanding salaries of up to $8 million per film, a record for a child performer at the time. With his angelic face and mischievous charm, he embodied the magic of childhood for an entire generation. But behind the laughter and box office success, fame came at a heavy price. By age 14, Culkin had appeared in over a dozen films and decided he'd had enough. He told his parents and managers he was retiring, determined to reclaim the ordinary life fame had stolen. The years that followed were turbulent. Culkin faced a highly publicized legal battle with his parents over control of his earnings and endured relentless tabloid attention. Yet he refused to let Hollywood define him. In the 2000s, he returned to the screen in indie films like Party Monster and Saved, roles that reflected a darker, more self-aware side of his talent. He also founded the satirical comedy website Bunny Ears, parodying celebrity culture with sharp humor, and even toured with his comedy rock band, the Pizza Underground, known for turning Velvet Underground songs into pizza-themed parodies. By the 2020s, Culkin's story had come full circle. He became a father in 2021 with actress Brenda Song, welcoming their son Dakota, named after his late sister. His priorities shifted completely. Fame now took a backseat to fatherhood and family. In 2023, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a moment of poetic closure that he approached with gratitude and wit. Fans saw not the lonely child star they once worried about, but a grounded man who had learned to laugh at life and love it deeply. Now in 2025, at 45 years old, Macaulay Culkin lives quietly in Los Angeles, occasionally acting, producing, and writing. His once boyish face has matured into one marked by experience and peace. His transformation is nothing short of remarkable, from a symbol of childhood wonder to a portrait of adult resilience. Macaulay Culkin didn't just survive fame. He transcended it, turning what could have been tragedy into triumph. Fame fades, but legacy evolves, and these 15 men proved it. From Hollywood icons to humble craftsmen, teachers, fathers, and thinkers, their stories remind us that success isn't measured in red carpets, but in resilience. Each chose authenticity over applause, purpose over popularity. In a world obsessed with staying seen, they found strength in stepping away. So were these once idolized stars brave visionaries or quiet quitters? That's for you to decide. One thing's certain, their transformations redefined what it means to truly live. This is Legends of Black Excellence, where every ending sparks a new beginning.